On May 22nd, Remen Wholesale is doing a Renovation 101 webinar where you'll learn everything about renovation loans. That's the process, the benefits, and how to market for them. You don't want to miss that. It's always good to have another niche in your toolbox. Click this banner you see right here over on your right to register for it. Scroll all the way down on your mobile device past your comments. You'll see their banner there where you can register. Or there's a link around here somewhere if you're on Facebook where you can register for that webinar as well. Don't miss it. May 22nd, Remen Wholesale.
So yesterday you were talking about Heckams and Learn Everything, and today you're talking about Renovation and Learn Everything. And very much like Heckams, how do most loan officers find out how to do a renovation or a construction loan?
Try it.
They just accidentally fall into one, which is no way to go about it. And just like the Heckam stuff, you wouldn't want a dentist saying, I've never done a root canal before, but let's go with it. Let's give this sucker a shot. Hey, one thing I just want to bring up before we get going here. I just want to point this out. It's just a simple observation that just it's top of mind right now. But I got to the office and I went and I checked my calendar and I make my calls and I do my shit and I'm writing the show and all that stuff. And I noticed on there I got a couple loan officers who scheduled with me through Calendly. So this is, we make it available. So if somebody wants to talk with us, they can put it on our calendar. So I called the first guy who he set the appointment for me. Yeah. Says, hey man, I'm in a meeting right now. Can you call me later? Yeah, can you call me back? I'm like, you set the appointment. But yeah, I'll call you back.
I'd be like, no,
and then
I'm not calling you back.
And then the second person who set an appointment with me didn't pick up and their mailbox is full, which is really not that big of a deal if you were not in a sales position. Kind of complicated and difficult to have people who want to work with you leave messages for you if your mailbox is full. Just pointing it out. And so when I brought this up, I said, is this the standard we have from loan officers? And in unison, half our office goes, yes. Yeah. So that's a little complicated. By the way, I don't know if you saw this, Frank, but the CFPB just named a Jeb Hanserling and Mick Mulvaney stooge as the new acting deputy director over there at the Bureau. Okay. Now, if you forgot, and you probably did because we're both getting older and our brains are shot, maybe not you as bad as me.
I remember Hanserling.
Okay. Let's go. Well, Hanserling was the guy in Congress who ran the House Financial Services Committee and introduced the Consumer Choice Act bill thing, and that bill was intended to get rid of the CFPB. So he clearly doesn't like the CFPB. Right. Mick Mulvaney, the other fella, he was the Trump-appointed director over at the CFPB who actually tried to destroy the CFPB when he was the director. So you have a new deputy director of the CFPB, a guy who worked under a guy who tried to bring down the CFPB, and the other guy who actually did kind of bring it down. Yep. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist, Frank, for anybody to figure out the direction that the Bureau is headed right now. And it's in the tank. It's on the crapper. And the new deputy director's name, Frank, in case you didn't know, it's Brian Johnson.
For now's about to rock.
No! Okay, so for those of you who don't get that joke because you're too young, we'll explain. Brian Johnson, the new deputy director of the CFPB, shares the same name as the second singer of AC/DC, Brian Johnson.
Okay, so this story, Frank, really is barely even newsworthy.
Okay, let's have it.
Now, we say barely because it does involve the strongest mortgage regulatory agency in all of the land, the CFPB. But it's barely newsworthy because the current director wants to do nothing with the agency, or very little.
Okay.
The last director did nothing. The new director, Kraninger, she does very little. And the appointee has a track record in compliance, primarily not doing it and thinking that compliance is a bad thing. Okay. That's Brian Johnson. Okay. So this move means more of barely nothing, to be specific.
Okay.
Frank, on to you.
Okay, remember our point. That the next election cycle could very well bring a new sheriff to the White House, and a sheriff who thinks the mortgage industry hasn't paid their full pound of flesh yet. So, if we see a change, the new sheriff and their deputy sheriffs are gonna be looking at what you do today to bust you tomorrow. So, like we've said,
it's kind of like this. The current CFPB director and her team is like back when we were in junior high school and you had a substitute teacher. And you had that teacher, sure, you could get away with almost anything, really a whole bunch of crap that you couldn't have gotten away with if your normal teacher wasn't sick. But your real teacher is going to come back to her classroom. And if she hears that you were misbehaving while she was away, you're going to have hell to pay as a student.
So don't use this as an opportunity to get away with a bunch of stupid stuff.
So, Frank, I gotta tell you this. I am super sick and tired of talking about Zillow.
Not me, Alex.
But our good friend, Chris Burleson, who works at American Mortgage in Knoxville, Tennessee, and Chris, for all of you, is pictured here.
I think it's with Adam Smith out of Colorado. Now, did you see this? How I Met Your Mortgage? I think it's a video series that they're doing.
I think so, too.
Yeah. But here's the great part. Did you notice this? Season 2, Episode 6.
I think that's totally awesome. So, seriously, Adam, I hope there's a season 1 to this.
Totally cool.
I gotta tell you, if there's... No, strike that from the record. When you do things, Frank, this is for everybody's edification, you get more business. When you do things, you get more business. That's the message.
Weird.
Now, why do I say this, Frank?
Why?
Because if there's one thing that Adam Smith does a lot of when it comes to his business and marketing, if there's one thing that he does, it's things.
Things.
Yes.
Things is more than one thing, right?
Right, but I'm keeping all the things that he does benign because I don't know everything that Adam Smith does.
Sure.
I just know that he does a whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
So it's easier to say he does things than just a thing. Does
Got
that make
it.
sense? So
Yeah.
he does, his thing is doing things, Frank.
Okay, I'm just saying, right now I think this is a little too much talk about Adam's thing.
Well,
Or things.
Okay. Adam's always doing a whole bunch of stuff. He's a loan officer out of Colorado. I'm telling you, the guy's absolutely fearless. And he has a massive book of business. And I bet it has a whole bunch to do with Adam's thing. Things. And on the flip side, I can't help but notice people who don't do things to market generally don't have a strong book of business. They
So-
don't do things.
So do things.
Right.
Back to Chris Burleson, who's doing a thing with Adam, or did a thing with Adam. Chris brought this to our attention, I presume, from his local news station. It's all the homes Zillow has bought and could have bought. Note, subtract the number of homes sold by Zillow by the number of opportunity of homes that they could have sold. And that is the number of listing leads Zillow can now sell to realtors, increasing Zillow's profit by further strip mining realtors of their commissions.
And this whole thing from Chris shows us another way that Zillow is kicking the socks off of real estate agents. You think I'm wrong? Here's my question. Hey, realtors, when was the last time that you got a new listing and your local news covered that story? And this just, by the way, gave me, Frank, a great idea. But that's going to have to be for tomorrow's show.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. I'm already in anticipation. I'm on pins and needles. I can't wait.
It is a good idea.
All right, I'm sure it is. Did it hurt?
No.
You guys have
Little.
a fabulous day. Leave us your comments down below. Do us a favor, forward our show. Share, subscribe.